Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live 8:57. 8:57 because that's just 3 minutes before 9. And, it's just different. It's memorable. It's rememberable, if that's even a word, and it's a word that I can remember. So I'm glad you're here. It's just wired funny is what it is. And so I get asked that as much as I get asked why Roo? Why 8:57? I go, it's just a little bit before 9. And it's a good way to start an auction if you're selling a print. 8:57. So, hey, I'm glad you're with me. I am in my messy studio back home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dorothy was right. She said these shoes are too tight. No, that's not what she said. She said, well, it could have been because she kept clicking them together to make room for her feet. And every time she did, she blew something up or turned somebody into something or melted someone. I think she said there's no place like home. There's no place like home. I think that's what it was. And it is true. You go around and you come back, and I'm telling you, your own bed just sort of says, oh, there you are. And you fit and you sleep better. Hats off to a bunch of friends who housed us. You know, the fact about community is, and in fact, it looked like we were gypsies those last few days. Well, wait, I'm married to a gypsy, and that's a good term in this case, a great term. She is an adventure looking for adventurers. And so we wound up, after the retreat and after all the chefing that she did was done, the 90 women who showed up there and were fed royally, and it was just a great experience for them. I helped clean up a little bit here and there, and help move some things around. And then we were going to stay with some friends who live in that area because we lived there many, many years ago. And one of those friends had COVID. And so we said, well, we've had it, but hey, you just need the rest of the week. So Carol took them soup and flowers and we drove past. The next friend said, I have a scratchy throat and I think I'm coming down with something. And so we drove on past. And the third friend is like Goldilocks. And the third little house was made out of brick, and we couldn't stay there either. So we just said, let's go to St. Augustine because we had a lunch scheduled to see some dear friends from the past years. And so we just found a little quaint place on the bay that was pretty inexpensive and camped there for the night. And then, lo and behold, we didn't make the drive back. We stopped at Jekyll Island. And so you saw some of the video from there. I got a little piece I put together about Jekyll Island. I want you to see it. It's kind of Roo log, the Roo's travel log, but I know some of you love seeing these places. And this place, the Jekyll Island Club, we hadn't been there in 20 years. We used to go there every year, sometimes 2 times a year, because they had a lot of meetings on that island. It was only an hour and a half above Jacksonville, where we lived back then. And so we had our meetings there, and we also had conferences on the Jekyll Island. 20 years, the place is 2 new hotels. We tried out one of those. So I picked up, and I came up with a little saying, and here's what it is. Let me see if I wrote it down. It says, important that you, here's thinking like an artist. It's important that you make do, but it's just important that what you do with what you make. Okay, so I'll finagle it a little bit, but it's important that you make do. And what I meant there was I was traveling with my art bag. I had my bug out bag. I had this with brushes and some. Sorry, you can't even see it, can you? Let me get to the picture here. I had my bug out bag and I had my pens and brushes in there. Still got a few pens laid in there. Took most of them out this morning. I had 2 different colors. Had my little palette that I color. Had a bigger palette. Had my original. This one that I carry all the time, my Altoid box, and I'm going to have to put some paint in it because I painted a lot out of this box while I was gone. So there's my original Cheap Joe's colors that I paint in the Altoid box. Had a handful of brushes, had a couple bamboo brushes, a couple American Journey brushes, and pens painted with mostly fountain pens. The Kakuno and the Preppy pen I used a lot. I did throw some dark ink in, and I'll show you just a second with my Lamy pen. Excuse me, and I used a Pentel every now and then, an 05 needle gel, and I also use this Extreme. So those are probably my 5 pens. This is really kind of what made my trip right here. There we go. That right there. That was it. And so really, I'm thinking, gosh, you took too much, and you go, oh, you always do. You pack more clothes than you need. That's the advantage of wearing a white shirt every day, is that I needed a white shirt while I was down there because I messed one up. And I found a thrift store, walked in, new white shirts from this company that they were just liquidating, $8. Pinpoint, nice collar. 2 days I'm wearing that thing around going like, this is great. Carol goes, did you wear that shirt yesterday? And I'm going like, and I may wear it tomorrow, okay? Because not this one, but it's in the wash. And I'm going to actually wash it, launder it. So what do you make do with? You make do with the paper you find. You make do with whatever other people have lying around. You say, hey, can I borrow that pencil? I like that pencil. Let me try it. Let me try that pen. Most times if we ate out at a little place somewhere and they would start to hand me a pen, I'd go, no, that's okay. Just keep it. But wait, what kind of pen is that? Let me see it. And so I never traded for any. I haven't found any pens better than the ones that I've been using in the last year. And that's a good thing. So, but important to make do. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I made that on a little list. Everywhere you go, you are given, let me just kind of messy here. Let me move. Oh, it's hard to believe I said it's kind of messy here, isn't it? Everywhere you go, this is at the Jekyll Island Club. And I got these in St. Augustine. I got these in Jacksonville. I got them at a Salt Life place where I wanted to just get some grouper, fresh food, fresh seafood. You get this is a little Jekyll Island Resort card. And hey, this is probably 100-pound, maybe 118-pound paper. Very slick, maybe like a hot press paper. And it's blank on the back, and it has a little bit of a vellum finish. Ooh, so it acts like a hot press. Chris, you would like this very much. And so you can sit down and just sketch a shrimp really fast because it's poised just for the body of a shrimp. It's about, I don't know, what is that? I can measure it and see. It's a great size paper. I think I'm going to start cutting some like this. I'd like to measure this, but I don't know what I did with I didn't take a measuring tape with me. It's no problem. It's probably 7 inches by 2.5, something like that. 2 by 7, 3 by 6, 2 by 6. Anyway, 2.5 by something. Give it up. You don't care. But then I thought, hey, it's fun to make do on that. While I was gone, and I think I counted them up here, and I'm gonna say hello to you. I painted the eye tech. I had some eye work done while I was there. She was a sweet young lady who is just trying to find her way in life, and she had butterflies on her wall. So I painted her a butterfly, one of the butterflies that I've been practicing. It was sort of like this one right here. Had a little inspirational scripture around the top of it like that. Had a T ring on it that I actually did with a large mug. I gave her one of those, and then I painted a waitress at a little coffee shop a card. She says, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot those." And then I painted four for Frankie's little restaurant. And I painted them all different ones. And that's what got me into the small paintings that I started doing when I sat at the bar. Some of my small paintings are on Etsy. I sold several of those. There's a little sandpiper, and there's a Do I Smell Grits painting. They were all about this size. Carry these in my vest pocket. This is 140-pound Fabriano paper, not Kilimanjaro, but Fabriano, just because I cut it. I had it. This is quick scampi over here. This is I'll be dipped. This is nothing. This is upside down crab. This is old crab. This is another butterfly. I think this one and this one may have sold. This is Mrs. Brown. You got a lovely daughter. I saw some of the hermit crabs that you guys painted from the hermits, and they are spectacular. Great job. Anyway, so I think all in all, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think I gave away 12 paintings while I was gone, and 2 of them were very large. They were on the back of menus, and that was kind of fun. We sat at a restaurant at this bar because they didn't have seats. I said, "Do you serve full service at the bar?" "We'll just sit there and have dinner here." New restaurant we wanted to try. And so when she gave us the paper, it was okay. It's probably about 65 pounds. I thought I could be careful with this. And I wound up just doing my shrimp cocktail on that. And I looked up and I was thinking I was going to do it. I saw a guy look over, and he was looking down at the bar where I was painting. And then he turned to his wife and said, like, "What's that guy doing over there?" And he was interested enough then to push his stool back and get up. And I didn't say anything to him. And I walked around and I saw him out of my vision. And he walked like this and he walked like this again. Then he went back over and he sat down and then he had a conversation with her. So I thought, okay, he's either an artist, he likes art, he doesn't like art. This is his bar, and he's afraid I'm going to paint on it. So, you're familiar with surroundings. And so, anyway, long story is this: when I finished it, I just splashed some ink on it, and I just wiped up the bar. I pushed my stool back and said, "Carol, I'll be right back." I walked around the edge of the bar, and I said, "Here." And he said, "So you saw me?" And I said, "Yeah, it's important that we check out our environment, right? In this time." And he said, "Yes, it is." And I apologized if I was being nosy, but he said, "I want to get a business card." And I said, "I brought you one." And I gave him this. And he was like, "What? I love this. I love shrimp." Anyway, it's fun. So you make do. That's important that you make do. I had a menu page and just this and my little water brush and a pen. And that was it. Had it in my vest pocket. And then it's important what you do with what you make. And so that's kind of how that goes. Let me just say hello to somebody here. Thanks for being on the show while I ramble this morning. 8 minutes of rambling, or 5 anyway. Barbara Mayer, thank you. Donna Sell Barton, blessings. Thanks for being on the show. Love it, love it, love it. Karen Binder, Chris Whitaker, morning. Jason Nichols, howdy, coffee, creativity. Jason, I thought of you many times with the architectural structures of everywhere I was. So hang on. And I channeled you a couple times and said, there's the Bridge of Lines, one of my favorite things in St. Augustine. And I wanted to sketch it, so I opened up a sketchbook. This sketchbook right here. There's a little logo of the top of Jekyll Island. It's kind of a turret. In fact, there's a room right here, and the room number, ready for this, is 2222. And we've stayed in 2222 probably, 6-8 times over the years. 20 years ago. So when they called us, we couldn't stay in 2222, but they put us in 2223 across the hall. So it's right there, and we could look out over the croquet court. And it's a cool place. And it was still a standard room. They haven't updated it yet. So old room, old price. Okay. Hey, I'm an artist. Okay. Anyway, there's a beach piece I did. Here's a shrimp. Jason, this is the piece I want you to see. It's the Bridge of Lines. There it is right there. There it is. These are the 4 control towers that lift the bridge as it splits, and a little bit out of scale, but just pen and just this, and there's just a little watercolor that I had to splash on there. So there's my bridge over 2 pages on that little journal, and I would still measure some of this if I could find my tape. But if a frog had wings, right, he wouldn't wear out his fanny jumping. Oh, there it is. Okay. So that's 16 inches. So that's an 8-inch piece of paper. So 16 inches across is my little bridge of lines. And I've actually flown over this bridge in a small biplane back 22 years ago when they had this one torn down and they had a temporary bridge and they were rebuilding this one. And so you can see all the pylons down in the water. And I keep that video. It's one of my treats in life was flying around St. Augustine Airport in a biplane. And then the pilot calls me, I got my aviator cap on, and he says, "Let's go out." So we fly over this bridge. It's pretty cool. Anyway, there's a tower shot in there, some things there. Did I just show you? I think I showed you this one. Yeah, I probably showed you this. This is, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. Didn't I just show you the logo that I did? Gosh, some days. Oh, yeah, there it is. There's a little sketch of the tower right there. So that's kind of the way their logo looks. So I just sketched it looking at their logo. Here it is right here. Here's a shot of the place. That's what it looks like right there. And then their logo is pretty cool. Let's see. There it is right there. See? Yeah. So I penciled it here, and I thought, I should just paint that, It's got a little, nice pen and ink sketch. All right. Hey, Catherine Brousseau, thank you. Kathy Taylor, Denise Albright from Exeter, California. Hello, always. Kathy Morrow, Linda Schleitning, Linda Linhart from Orlando. Yeah, it was getting warm down there yesterday. We were in St. Augustine, but coming to Orlando. Jennifer Thistle, Fern Skelly, Trish Brown, welcome to you all mornings. Thank you for the smiles and the notes. And Nancy Catlett, yes, Teresa Emmerich. Gene Anthalzer, Lynn Burr, Mickey Hub, Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson. Blessings to you on Saturday morning. Linda Cook Van Landingham. You guys have names longer than my street that I grew up on in East Tennessee. Andy Bean is on the show. Jacqueline Browse, morning to you. Karen Pikert, welcome from sunny Cali. Kim Sheets, thank you. Almost Heaven from Country Roads. Yeah. Pat Chewing Thompson, thank you for being on. Pat Brooks, going to be a great day in Florida. She says, Sue Kane, welcome from South Australia. Somebody said, gosh, have you ever sold a painting in Australia? And I said, I've got paintings from a friend in Australia. And so, yes, thank you. Carol Mundy, welcome to the show. Becky Bailey, Randall Taylor Craven, Gail Anderson, Tamberly Marie, June Jones, Rhonda Dehart from Faith. Mike Paramore, good morning to you. Mike, I had some of your honey this morning. Truth, honestly. Had a biscuit left over that I came in with yesterday and just microwaved my biscuit a little, put my butter down, okay? Just a little bit of butter on the plate first. And then I poured some of that honey over it, just squeezed it out, mixed it up with a fork and made honey butter. Oh, man. In fact, I wish somebody was bringing one of those to me right now. Jack Wolfenbarger, good morning to you, my dear friend from down in Florida. Hope you're well. Pat Chewin Thompson, Paul Lindy. You notice that I got the E on there, Lindy, not Paul Lynn, but Paul Lindy. Yep, I get it. Marion R. Awad from Melbourne, Florida. Debbie Bennett, Annette from Minnesota. That's where they have pop. You don't have soda up there, you have pop. Bert Crone, hey, from Greenville. Blessings to you, my friend. All right, I'm going to move ahead and paint a couple things. Ann Wester, glad you're on the show. There's no hiding Jekyll Island. I get it. Linda Eder and Colm Wilkinson actually were some of the voices. Linda Eder was the voice in Jekyll and Hyde. She was also the voice in, she may have been one of the voices. Linda Eder was the voice in one of those. I started to say Les Mis, but I don't think she ever did Les Mis. Okay. But Colm Wilkinson was the voice of Jean Valjean. So they sang together in a couple other musicals. Did you know Jekyll and Hyde was a musical? If not, it was interesting. Ms. Carla, glad you're on the show. Ruth Gins, I always pronounce your name wrong from Katy, Texas, but I think it's Get Gay. Get gay. Yep, there we go. All right, let me move ahead here. Raylene, glad you're on the show. Beautiful. Thanks for all you people jumping on this morning. A lot of people, and there is no way that I will pronounce your name right. Falky, yeah, I can't do it. Falki with a couple little hyphens in there. Not hyphens, but accents. Hydorter. From San Antonio, Texas. Hey, I don't pronounce that name often, so welcome to the show. I'm Rue, and this is what I do. I paint, talk, goof off, but let's paint something before you get bored. I'm getting bored with me. I'm going to show you a video in a little bit that's just a travel log. I want to show you some places that I think we got to go sketch because I just believe that the world is needing some people to stay on that island. And they got all this little transportation, these little trams and shuttles, so they could just drop you off and say, hey, I need you to be back here in an hour and a half with some sandwiches, and I need you to be back an hour after that. And, you take your chair with you, and we could do those trees and that Driftwood Island scene and some old architecture that's on the building and some old coquina walls. I'm thinking that'd be awesome. We do our shrimp. In fact, I'm going to do a little shrimp. I'm going to show you how I got some of this paper. Remember I told you I painted on just make do? So everywhere you go on the island now in hotels, they give you one of these. It's how did we do? Tell us about your dining experience. How was the service? Are you an overnight guest? Do you have any issues that we need to address? That rhymed. I don't even think they knew it. Interested in learning about da-da-da-da-da, send us this. So this is a great little piece of paper. So I just picked up a few of them and I said, hey, can I take some of these? They say, sure. I said, great. They go, thank you for filling them out. I said, no, I didn't say I was going to do that. I just wanted to take them and I'm going to paint on them. And they're going like, you're not right. That's right. So I'm just going to grab a little pen here and show you how fun it is to just pick up a piece of paper. And when you're sitting at the table, the bar, breakfast table, and you say, pour me some tea and coffee, give me an extra cup. I might want to paint with a little tea. and they're going like, excuse me, and you open this up, then it's a good way for you to sort of say, welcome, pull up a chair. So this is perfect size for a shrimp. Look at this. Uh-oh, I should have a pen that writes. It's not perfect. All right, so let's change oil in this pen. That's why I have two of them. Oh, does that make a difference? Okay. So I'll start to draw something like this. Make my Roodoodles eyes up there. I like those eyes on the pedestal. Put some little dark in here in the sections, and then start to draw those feet the way I like to draw them. There they come out like this. Music reminds me of painting for a game show or something. I don't know. And so what I'll do is I'll just sit there and people will go, oh, you're painting a shrimp? Oh, yeah, it's a shrimp. That's right. And so it's interesting. Anyway, we went to several art galleries and looked at some wonderful pieces of art. A couple that we really liked, and she said, I could have this shipped home for you. And I said, I bet you could. And I said, how much is the shipping? And she said, well, it's not too expensive. And I said, ma'am, if I pay $19,000 for that painting, which I don't have, you're going to ship it to my house for free. She said, I'm sure we can arrange that. I said, I thought you could. No, I don't have $19,000. But I'm going to tell you, it was a vineyard painting that really captured my heart. Holy smokes, it was fabulous. I'm going to grab a little bit of Gamboge yellow here. There it is right there. Just grab a little bit of that Gamboge yellow. I'm going to drop a little bit of French gray in there. Maybe just a touch of this almost like a peach. I can't remember what that is. Somebody tells me every time. I need to just go look and write it on there, but that'd be the easy way. Wouldn't be the cowboy way. We'll grab a little bit of Joe's red and put it in here just like so. And I'm coming up with some kind of nice looking pink. And then I don't want my shrimp to be completely pink. I'm going to put a little more orange in there or yellow in there. That's kind of looking pretty good right there. I think I will touch a little bit of real orange in there, just Halloween orange. Try to keep my brush clean between each color. But remember now, I'm painting on what I'd say is probably a vellum backed, about 110, 115 pound, 18 probably is the number, paper. And this is just what they print and cut up for you to write your comments on. So I said, hey, I'm taking a few of these, so get the heck out of my way. All right, here we go. Then I just go in and start building it in here a little bit. So water first, just a little water, and let that ink start to run. You can tell this has some vellum on it because here's what it's doing. It's grabbing that ink and it's not letting it release like it does on watercolor paper. So that's the kind of stuff you need to practice with all the time. Don't just paint on watercolor paper all the time. Save that for your pristine paintings and your landscapes and your florals and your fawns if you're painting animals. Save that for some cool stuff. But every now and then, just get some, don't get copied paper and don't get anything less than 50 pounds. 80 is pushing it, that's a little, but that'll work. But anything over 80 pounds, grab just some paper and come in there sometimes and just have some fun building up a little bit of, kind of looks like a fish more than a shrimp because I didn't get in there. Put a little extra red in there just because I wanted him to look like he's been out in the sun for a while. He's cooked. Bringing these in. So I'm just showing you what you can do with that paper. When I'm sitting at the bar and I'm not even a drinker, I said, could you bring me? She said, how about an old fashioned? And I said, sure, an old fashioned iced tea with no sugar and some, or no sweet tea, old fashioned sweet tea like my mom made it, but just with some lemon in it, no ice. She goes, but it's warm. And I go, yeah, that's good. And she goes, ooh. And I said, you ever drink hot tea? She goes, yes. And I said, well, then what's wrong with warm tea? It's just hot tea that's cooled off a little bit. She goes, oh, I never thought of that. Okay. Think like an artist, I said. So that gives you a little example of just a little shrimp. And then what I do now is I come back in with a little more water. I did this all the time, but I want you to see what I do when I'm in different places. And so if the other one I painted the other night was literally on 11 by 14 menu. I just flipped over their menu, and it wasn't a plastic menu. It wasn't a keeper. It was a print. Throw on the bar, get it wet, roll it up. It's what they do now during COVID anyway. So it's kind of free paper for you artists. See there? I'm going before you. I'm breaking waves, making waves, breaking things down. Grab a little bit of splatter color, maybe just a little bit of blue, splatter it on like this, like that. So there's one done. You see how fast that was? It's just finished, and I'll sign it. I'll put a Roo on there, and then I'll go over and somebody will always say, hey, do you have a business card? And I'll go, yes, and so do you. This. And they go, oh, is that your, really? .com? Is that your, yes, it is. Okay, so I have a website, and so they find me. You know that because some of you find me there. Hey, so you get the idea? Who did? Come on, Deborah Tauber's doing shortbread, and I just saw that. And Jason has a little point here, and this could happen lots of times to someone who teaches, but this has happened if you're out and about, and they go, oh, I'd like to draw you this picture of this tree, but I don't have my favorite pen. You go, excuse me? And so he said, grab and go with your tools. And that's why you have to have a bag that's kind of ready to go, that maybe has some colors that you know you'll always have with you, or maybe it's a red and a blue pen, or maybe it's just maybe it's just a pencil or graphite. Maybe it's a layout pencil that, when you use those layout pencils and you put the tower in there, like if I'm at Jekyll and I want those windows to come in like this on that sketch, then I can go in there and just push in my finger and make that shadow. And so I need to know what tools I have. That's very important before you attend any watercolor event, any class, anything. Know what you love, and then let people push you a little bit. That's all I do. Anyway, then it's good to jump up and give these away. So you wind up with this little shrimp. And man, I ate some great shrimp while I was gone. When you're in Jacksonville, just off the coast, Mayport, is the shrimp come in and they're just beautiful. They're just beautiful. And you have a little talk with them and you say, hey, thanks for giving yourself up. And no, you don't. Okay, they're shrimp. All right. That bridge, I'm 35. Okay, so you guys are having all kinds of expired field trip to Jekyll Island. Yeah, I think we got to go do that. And I think that's for our first, maybe it'd be the first thing to try this year. It'll be a whole lot easier to get to Jekyll than it would be, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you have to fly to Jacksonville and drive up there. But it might be a whole lot easier flying to St. Simons. Woo! Across the way. I've flown into Jekyll and the airports. Oh, here's the airport's this big right here. But if they stop it quickly, you don't go into the marsh. You don't go into the ocean. You just go into the marsh a little bit. It's pretty good. All right, let's see. Any questions? I'll answer some questions on this Saturday morning, and then I'm going to paint a couple things here. I got to do a rooster. I got to show you Poplar Bluff. Oh, was it a watercolor? I don't know. That wasn't for me, I don't think, because, vellum paper. There you go. Shannon Caldwell is going to Jekyll Island for a yeah, they got a new conference center. We used to meet in that conference center back when it was about this much above a barn, but now they've changed it all. It's brand spanking new. It's just beautiful. Of course, I haven't been there in 20 years. So flying to Jack's, I think I looked it up. Yep. Okay, that'd be a great place, though. And so for some of you who are going, gosh, I don't know if I can climb all over the Rocky. I got a couple emails that said, I don't know if I can wander all over the Rocky parks, and it's hard to get around in Maine. It really is, but it's beautiful, and I still want to go there. But I'm thinking, this place, man, you could stay at one of the clubs there, and then you could just jump on the little tram and it'd just drop you off. And there's places out there to set up easels and or a little, a little table or a little board. And anyway, I got Carol and I kind of thought of it at the same time. We went, well, this would be a great place to bring a small group. And we get up in the morning, you have a little coffee and a croissant there, and you say, let's don't go till we sketch this croissant in this coffee cup. Nobody's got to go anywhere here. And I don't know, maybe get a violinist to just follow us around. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? All right. So I think Michelle, who's a dear friend and also is on the show quite often, this is Kilimanjaro. I'll come back to my thought on Michelle. This is Kilimanjaro, 140 pound, bright white. It's 10 inches by 5.5. That's what I'm painting on right now. Shifting gears on you. Boop, there it is. Good paper from Cheap Joe's. So when I sat down at the table the other day, I ordered my hot tea, and the lady, as we walked on this little place off the bay in St. Augustine, I said, "Do you have hot tea?" And she said, "Oh, yes, yes, yes." So I sat down, and the young man came to wait on us, and he said, "Yes, what can I get for you?" And so Carol ordered something. I can't remember what it was, a red wine, I think. And I said, "I'd like a cup of hot tea." And he goes, "Well, we don't have hot tea." I go, "Do you have tea bags?" He goes, I don't know. I said, do you serve sweet tea? Yeah. Okay, so you have tea bags. Do you have hot water? Well, I could get hot water. Okay, so we can make it. But hey, let's simplify your life. Just bring me a cup of coffee, but I'll have cream and sugar. It's in the afternoon. So he brings me some cream and sugar. So the people around us all have shakers and they all have martinis. And I look at this folks, and they're sitting like right where my camera is, like 3 feet away right there. And so they're laughing and having a great time. And I'm thinking, these two guys are probably in their 50s and they look like twins. I mean, I'm going like, and he goes, "Yep, we're twins." I'm going like, they're all laughing. I said, and he goes, "And I'm the older brother." And he says, and so there are four, there's 1, 2, 3 brothers sitting there. And he said, "Our other brother couldn't be here." And I said, "Well, welcome to," and I said, "Who lives here?" And so the older guy says, "We do." And I said, so you people come from there to visit here because you're not going back to visit those people. You don't want to go back where they are. And he goes, no way. And I won't even tell you where you're from because I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't really care. But anyway, so I sit down and I thought, I was going to sketch anyway. And I said, "Hey, Carol, I'm going to sketch here." And so I pulled out my tools, which was my little pad and my pen. And I started in drawing. And I thought, what's perfect for, I'll give this painting away, what's perfect here, except for the Rutini, because they were all having martinis. And so I think Michelle has one of these, is what brought me to that. So I thought I'd show you how this painting came to be. It was in a sitting just like this, where you draw, you have to draw part of the rooster before you draw the martini glass. And so if you draw the rooster here like so, there's his beak and there's his wattle, here's his comb, and then you start to draw him down like this, and then you want to bring his back down and so his feathers out like so. This is how I do this. And then you bring him in, and so look at this, I'm drawing these feathers down over the rim of the glass. Can you see that? So they're just fitting right in there, so they're already breaking the plane of the glass. So now the glass is coming down like so. So there's the martini glass. There's a little design on this glass, and then there's not enough room to put the foot on the glass, but that's okay. So now I got the rooster down, hanging over the martini. So you see what I did? I brought the feathers down before I brought the edge of the glass up. Sometimes you gotta have toy with it. You gotta think, what's in front of what? What's the foreshortened piece? What's the larger piece? What's the perspective? And so then I can come down into the glass and I can put some feathers down in here, but I can also run a foot down in here like this. It's run a foot. And then this one sort of up the glass like this. And so then I got to come in here with an olive and a skewer that comes out the glass like so. So there is my there's my Rutini, and so I've got this roux in the martini glass, and then so here maybe we're down here. We've got some stuff on the table. All right, so I'll paint that for you and show you how fast that comes together just by grabbing a bigger brush. And I think I'm going to grab a bamboo brush. This is a number 2 bamboo. wet it a little bit. Hadn't had water in it for a while. Carried some of these with me. And once again, I'm gonna bring a little dark into this. I'm gonna grab my Lamy pen. But this is how this happened faster at the table because I had everything just laying in front of me. And so I'm painting it on a piece of paper just like this one. And so just grab a little bit of water, come in here and just let that ink start to bleed like this and paint like this. I met 3 people who were artists who said, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid of watercolor. And I go, you know what I'm afraid of? A biting dog. That's why I carry a pocket knife. And the lady went, you wouldn't cut a dog. And I go, before the dog bites me in the fanny, yeah, he's going to have a bloody nose. And so she said, well, that's not nice. And I said, well, it's not nice to be out in public and let your dog bite people. And I said, so, and have you ever been dog bitten? She said, oh, no, never. And I said, I have 3 times. So there you go. So she said, I said, how can you be afraid of watercolor? And all right. Hey, look, sometimes I just say things to disrupt the ordinary. You know that, right? Gordon McKenzie said this quote first, and I have a copy of it. I have a copy of the quote printed on my wall, and I've used it before on the show, but I want to tell you about it. And I'm not kidding. I have a copy of it right here. Take a look. This is it right here. What I was made for is disruption of the routine. Not pointless disruption, but disruption with a purpose. Gordon McKenzie. He wrote Orbiting the Giant Hairball, and I never got a chance to go meet him. And he passed. I found this book, and like 2 weeks later, we were booking plane tickets to go to his town and start looking him up, and found out that he had passed. And I just found the book late in my life. Gordon McKenzie, Orbiting the Giant Hairball is his book. He was an artist for a card company. Still got COVID brain. What I was made for is disruption of the routine, not pointless disruption, but disruption with a purpose. And so when you can stand and talk to folks and laugh with them and have fun with them and talk to them about life. And so they all asked me at this table, then they saw what I was doing. And this guy said, I don't want to be nosy. And I said, well, yes, you do. And it's perfectly okay. And they all just sort of laughed. And he said, are you a stand-up comic or a comedian or a storyteller? And I went, I'm close. And so they kept talking a little bit more. And then so I thought, well, now this is for sure going to go over there. And I'm going to wait and get a signal from one of those people. Who would I give it to? And so that's kind of always fun. Who would you give the painting to? If there are 4 people at the table and you only have time to paint one of them, who would you give it to? And so you just sort of carry on a conversation. So Carol started talking to one of the ladies about where they were from and what she was doing there. What brought you to the town? She said, well, we were north of here for a few days and we were part of I was a part of an event where I was chefing it up for some women on a retreat. And one of the ladies goes, well, why can't I go to the retreat? She said, well, here's some information on that. And so finally, one of the guys looks over and he says, I need a business card. And I said, I'm working on it. And about that time, I finished it. And I went and I laid this down in front of him again, like the guy that I did the shrimp for. And he goes, you're kidding. I said, no, I don't really have any cards. I never really went to the expense of printing any, which is it's kind of true, but it's not, you know what I'm saying? Because it's more fun to sort of paint my own business card than it is just have some printed. And the only time I ever had any business cards printed at all was when I sold the mugs, and I put the printer ran me about 500 of the little cards that I could put down in the mugs, which was a nice touch. And that was my daughter's creativity and his, not mine. So there you go. So there's the time for a routine. And so really I just put a roux in a martini glass. And is this kind of a mess in here? Yes, it is, but it's liquid. It's dissolved. It's glaring. It's magnifying through the water. It's okay if it's a little loose. Hey, the rest of it's loose too. And so that's kind of how it all comes together when you start to see it. A little red laying in that brush that I saw there. And that's how the mind can shift gears. When you look down, I saw the red in the brush that I hadn't washed out yet from that little color on the thought I was going to put it right here on the little stirring stick. There. And then maybe come in and just put a little bit of detail in here. Not much, just a tad, a little bit of detail, a little bit of blue in the glass, some twist in the glass right here, a little bit of detail here coming out to the foot of the glass, which goes off the page. And so there's a routini. Time for a routini. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Works really well when that happens. Gordon McKenzie, yes, worked for Hallmark. And by the way, he worked there for 30 years, and they found out that he was one of the best-selling card artists around, but they wanted to pull him into all these creative meetings and all this stuff, and his production would go down. So they would let him alone, and his production would go up. And he did things like children, very childlike drawings, but he had captions that were just creative. And he finally just said, let me alone, or I'm going to leave the company. And they worked out a deal where we said, let's meet here and let's let Gordon be out here. So he called hey, and look, I've worked for companies, I've worked for organizations, I've worked for nonprofits, I've worked for churches. All of them have a big hairball in the middle. It's just how we are. We're people. We just mess things up. And he said, if you'll let me alone and let me stay outside the hairball, I'll be much more creative. It's kind of what I scream for in my own life when I say, if you just give me some quiet time, not just quiet, but white space where I can piddle and noodle and doodle and fiddle and piddle. And that's why that's about. If I can take those things that aren't rules and apply them loosely, I tend to be more creative. If I just have to sit down all the time and someone says, I need these 22 roosters painted like this, and they have to be red and blue and white and green, I'm going like, oh, no, wrong guy. It's why I don't do commissions. If you have the patience to do commissions and you're good at it, God bless you, keep doing it. I can't do it because I am driven by, I'm putting this quote back up on my wall here. Hold on a second. I'm driven by the creativeness of the moment when white space and color and place come together and you just go, boom, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to paint. I see that. I want to put that together. And so I want to show you a quick video here, and it's not that quick, but I want to show you some of my travel log of why I fell in love with Jekyll Island. And here it is right here, and then I'll come back to you and we'll talk. This starts off in St. Augustine. The shot is the fort, and you're just going to see that. And I didn't pull I ate at a restaurant that we've been wanting to eat at since it opened in August, and they were still working on it then. Carol met the artist who did this, but it's down on the corner. It's called Casa Reina. Reina is, of course, for Queen Reina. And the guy above the fireplace painted this beautiful painting of this woman. And Carol happened to be there during that weekend. It wasn't opening, but he was still working on it. She met the artist, young guy from New York. Just brilliant painter, and it's just marvelous. So we wanted to photograph it. So we met some friends there for lunch, and just a very quaint, cool lunch. It's not over exaggerated anything, but anyway, I want to show you this. So the first shot is St. Augustine, and then you'll see it switch to Jekyll Island. You'll see the scene around Jekyll, and I won't narrate it, but here it goes right here. Okay, Jekyll Island, a little Roo travel, the Roo log. Believe it or not, 20 years ago, I used to come here and literally put on my whites and play croquet right here. This is a international croquet course. I'm whispering because that's what you do when you're at professional golf tournaments and croquet, and you clap like you have jelly on your hand and you don't want to get it stuck to the other hand. So there's serious rolls here, and you have to play with a drink in your hand. Oh, that was a pretty sorry shot right there. Take a look here. This is the Pulitzer Room. And off the Pulitzer Room is this little round room that we used to meet in. The Pulitzer Room was where the first transatlantic telephone call was made by Bell, a bunch of guys. Goodyear was in that room. Millionaire Row down through here. Goodyear, Moss Cottage. Outside gardens are beautiful. Little space across the way for meetings. This is the chapel. It's pouring rain here. Oh, we couldn't get in. There's some Tiffany windows in there. Tiffany did a lot of windows in St. Augustine of Florida also. These live oaks. I just shot this California palm because I thought it was remarkable. Here we are going out on the beach. Carol's on an orb mission. She's looking for treasure. And so I always have her walking off. So it's raining. She goes, yeah, what do we say? Frogs and people are waterproof. So this is Driftwood Island, and it's on the northernmost point of Jekyll Island. All these trees wash in there. Anything that turns loose or falls, and so it's just fabulous. Love the gnarliness of this. There's a different shot. I shot the day before when the sun was shining just a little bit on the walk up. But and this was a shrimp I gave away at the bar at dinner. There it is. It's on the back of the menu. Time for a shrimp cocktail. There we are. Oh yeah, a new white shirt. Okay, so there you go. That give you a little idea of how this thing works. And so you get a little idea. Isn't that cool? I shortened it down so you can just see a little bit of it. And so I'm thinking that's just there's a place there called the Horton House. It wasn't the Horton and the Who's, but this land has been growing and farming, and people have been shrimping there since the early 1700s. I mean, it goes back to farther than that, but it's really remarkable. Thanks, Kim. Kim says you have great skills in finding perfect music bed for your videos. Yeah, that's a skill and money. I pay for those beds. So is the driftwood protected? Yes, it is. They don't want you to take any driftwood. They don't want you to cut any wood off there at all. Big couple signs about that. So they just let it continue to deteriorate and move. And then they have a crew that if it does get unsafe, but they don't ask you to not climb on it. But, you don't have to. It's so wet. You can't really climb around on it anyway. We do have a shot of Carol. Now, I think I had it. I'll put it in here later. Doing the splits up on one of the limbs. Yeah, splits the globe, right? Hey, thanks for being on my show today. I'm going to paint one more thing for you. How do we sign up? Julie says. Yeah, well, I got to work on that. But I will. I'm going to call them probably. And I've got a few other irons in the fire that I'm trying to figure out for exactly how Roodoodles Live is going to work this year and how I'm going to stream. But I think it would be pretty cool to just run with it. And so Roodoodles.com will have some information, but I'll also start telling you what I'm going to do. So, but I do think, I mentioned this earlier, I do think this is the way to get this in your head and my style if you want to follow my style. And so I'm talking about doing that this fall, and the way we'll put together some ways that I'm going to do classes going forward and some art times going forward, a biblical journal thing that I'm going to do going forward. There's several things. One is Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle is the book. Pat, who's on the show, who is a brilliant artist. Some of you are. Pat has a style that's I like. It's cartoonish. It's genuine. It's high tech in some ways, and then the calligraphy is just all hand done. She really has a gift to sketch. And you can see her style and everything she does. It's just there. And that's what I keep talking about. Find your style and go with it. And I saw it when she sent me the first card. So when I asked her to illustrate this, she said yes immediately. And we both know that selling books is not a moneymaker, but it's a way to get your concepts and your ideas out there. In fact, I've had 2 people ask me this year, would I illustrate a book for them? And the answer is a kind but quick no, thank you. And because I couldn't do what she did. And so I'm blessed by that. But I can't do my style for someone else's work. And the other reason is I'm still writing books. But Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, I don't think I may have 2 left. I think I sold one yesterday, as a matter of fact, Pat. So you'll be happy about that. Hey, Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow is coming out. I'm still working on my poem book. It's always good to be back at the ocean and paint a sandpiper, because he's one of the little people that's coming up in my book. So there's my little sandpiper that I did. I got to show you one more thing before I go, a quick painting and something I'm doing that I started doing 10 years ago and I'm just going back to with water. Hey, Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow's kids book. And then, of course, this book. But the poem book is in the process. I've still got some original work to do before we start going into layout and all that. So I'm a long way off. But Roobots is, of course, this is the country boy in me. This is where you take the roosters and you put them with farm equipment and you come up with a coloring book. Today, the farmyard, tomorrow, the world. Roobots. And it's good for fine line pens, flare pens, colored markers, not crayons. It's a little too detailed for crayons. It's pretty good paper. All right. So I want to show you something that I'm doing. And I did this while I was in Florida to just have some fun. And I'm going to do it on a piece of this Kilimanjaro paper here. If I can get to a piece of it. The reason this is so difficult is I do not throw these little fly leaves out of here. I love them and I love painting on them. They're fabulous paper, by the way. So 140 pound weight. This is kind of how I've been doing this. You know, I've started doing this butterfly and I'm just still really just learning to do butterflies. And, but this one's kind of a fun one to do. And I'm going to do him with an O2, maybe. Maybe I'm not. Yeah. An O2 Preppy pen. So I'm just going to kind of come down like this with his wing. Just kind of come down and come out a little bit like so. Probably need some butterfly making music here for the last 10 minutes. What do you say? Let's see what this sounds like here. That's too much. Oh, yeah, it'll work. Okay, so if I just come down here, and then probably run this in like so, and then a little space coming out, and then, so I'm just making this up. I'm not really paying attention because I don't really know what butterflies, I haven't studied butterflies like I've studied several other things, so I don't know, but I do want a little pea-shaped head. By the way, that little pear-shaped head is the same head of a honeybee. Just look. Sometimes you compare things across genres and go, oh, you know, it's the bee's fanny looks like a light bulb. His is just an extended body of that same form, and it kind of comes down like this. And then there's just a little bit of an eye in there, and then I'm just sort of making some marks with this pen. These legs kind of come out like so. And then just a couple little antennae. They're not too long. There's not a bad little butterfly. Let me get this out of the way. And let's see if I can come in on him just a little bit here. So this will be fun for you to watch in the next couple minutes. Whoop. Let me get a focus. All right, that's a little better for you to see. I'm using a Preppy fountain pen. And so I'm just going to come in a little bit like so. And build up some black in here. I'm going to get another pen. Let's see if this one's still got some dark ink in it. I'll just build this up like this a little bit and come in here. I could put another wing back here if I needed to, or just have one that sort of was back there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in with a little bit of water. I'm going to go ahead and touch this black on the edge and just get some of those. And I'm going to touch his body with this black. That's just letting the ink run. But this is not the trick. You know how to draw butterflies. Some of you draw butterflies better than me. I'm just going to show you something that I'm going to do to mine. I'm putting some water inside here. This is the Roodoodle style that I love. It's the style that it's kind of my style. I'm sure other artists paint like this. Lots of them do. But my point is that this is kind of where I pull up short and go, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to grab a little bit of that. I'm going to grab some blue. Just come in right here with a little bit of blue on the wings, back of the wings, and maybe in here like so. Maybe a little bit of royal amethyst, because a little purple would look nice, and maybe just a touch of red right here, and maybe just a touch of red right down through here like this. Just a little bit, kind of cool looking. And I want a little more of this bright orange or yellow just popping out of the wing right here. Right there. I just want a little more yellow in here. Whether it's a make-believe swallowtail, who knows what it is. There he's got a big tall wing. But watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here like this, and I'm going to splatter some of that yellow around. I'm just going to take my misting bottle. This is my little American Journey misting bottle. And when I say mist, I mean it is just really mist. But I'm going to get it kind of close here, and I'm just going to spray a little bit like this, twice. Boop, boop. And then I'm going to let it alone. So I sprayed it, and just as it hit, it's causing these colors to come together and just to explode a little bit and run through the tributaries of this watercolor paper. Remember, watercolor paper is like the sand on the beach, okay? This is cold press, so it's undulated a little bit, but there's little breaks in there. Color follows the water. Water follows the path of least resistance. So look what's happening. Now that may be a spot that I want to clean up a little bit right here on the top. So I'll take my paper towel, wipe it off. But look what's happening right here. Do you see that just coming together? If I wanted more of that, I could come in here and probably hit a little touch right in there. And look, it just did it again. See that? See how it's starting to bleed down? Now this is probably a little dark for me. So I'm going to come in here. Got a couple minutes left here. Come in here and just pick up some of this like so. To get some of the mud out, because that was where that ink is really. And then I want to drop some of this gamboge right back in there to brighten that spot. Maybe a touch of brown on this body. Just a little touch of brown right here. And then I have this butterfly that now has these cool little blended feather-like tributaries that are just drifting off the back of his wing. And I couldn't get those with the brush. I did them with the spray bottle. Now, you're going to mess up a lot of drawings when you learn to do that. And I'd probably mess this one up, but I'll go do it again. The point is, so what? I can do it again. And so can you. And so you just build up the body a little bit more, add a little more black in there. And so I suddenly have this little butterfly. Looks like he could use a little bit of red, maybe just right here. Just touch it and let it go and not mess with it anymore. That's the hardest thing to do. Put the brush down and back away from the easel. What I do now to get my little circle on there is that I will take my coffee cup, or in this case, this is a very long one, but I'd take maybe my coffee cup and set it here somewhere, or in this case, maybe a saucer, and I'd create a little line out here, just a faint pencil line, and maybe put my caption out there. So that's kind of how I come up with a butterfly that looks something like this with the caption. That's the bottom of my coffee cup. Okay, so use what you have. Okay. All right. Hey, let's see. I've shared several copies. Y'all talking about the book. Thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. It's always fun. Thank you for having those things. Thank you for sharing my show. Thank you for liking the show. It's always great when you hit those little likes. You can always come back. I'm going to do this one more time before I go. Watch. There's getting to be some mud pie in the middle of this roux right here. So watch. Just going to go in and just touch this right here. And then maybe tilt it up and let it run down just a little with what's left in there. Look. And I still need one little piece of yellow right in there, just like that. So I did that 3 times to treat it while it was still wet. But look at this little mix back here. Can't brush it, can't get it. It's kind of a fun little look into a butterfly. He's tall. He's got big wings. I could make his body a little bigger if I needed to. I could also come in with my Lamy pen or a little black ink if I wanted to create the body a little darker and put some of that in there just like so. And then once this dries out, and I could come in with my pen and put in some detail. Look at this. Come back in and create these little lines that I had in before. See that? Oh, man. Does that work well or what? Look at that. And then here's the back wing, and here's the back wing there. Okay, so now I have this little butterfly, maybe some little tributary, little runoffs like that. So it's like building a tree. You're moving in on it. Anyway, time for a routine. I got to go. It's 10 o'clock, and I got to get out of here. Got a meeting. It's Saturday morning, and be creative today if you can. Hey, right now, take a last sip of your tea. Thanks for being on the show. I'm still working on and wrote all the 10 days I've been gone on how I'm going to go in the future, what I'm going to do with this thing called Patreon. And still do some shows here, but I'm going to actually move my classes over. I'll explain it all. Don't worry about it. I love having you as an audience. I love the fact that you are so good at art and that you have a community that you share it. And I just got a notification that Roo's Crew is like 900 people, and you all share art and share recipes and share life and share stories. What more is there? Hey, the love of God. That's it. Okay, here we go. Take a sip and think about who you're going to text today. Somebody, just encourage them and say, hey, you know what? I thought of you this morning. I'm going to send you a note. I got one to send right now. Okay. I got a granddaughter that's on the road, and I'm going to send her a little note to make her smile. Blessings to you. That is good tea, even if I did make it. I'm out of here. And guess what? I'm back to. Found it. Left my harmonica here. Didn't take it on the road. All shows need a soundtrack to go out to, so here's mine. Spare no expense. We've gone to absolutely no expense to bring you the show.